Welcome to Tech Ascent, the podcast where we dive into the trends, strategies, and success stories that are reshaping the tech landscape as we know it today. I'm your host, Oliver Klingane, the founder of Ascension, also the premier business development partner within tech. And today, I'm joined by Yiannis Tsiounnis, the executive chairman and founder of Advan Research. Yiannis, welcome to the show. Would you mind telling the audience a little bit about yourself and the mission behind Advan Research?
Thanks for the intro, Oliver. My name is Yiannis Tsiounnis. I founded Advan about 10 years ago, 2015, to bring alternative data first to the financial industry and then to other industries. The alternative data is the new frontier. It's massive big data that became available only recently, 10, 15 years ago, based on all the information that we as end users provide to the cloud, whether it's our location data, our spending data, our search data, etc. And that information can be used to provide insights that can be used for trading information, for understanding visitation counts, for real estate, for retailers, and etc.
Amazing. And for the newer listeners that might not be too super familiar with what the value of location-based data is, would you mind walking them through that?
So think of the very basic thing you do if you want to understand how a location is performing. If you want to find out if your neighbor's chocolate shop is making money, just sit outside and see how many people go in. Well, think about being able to do the same thing, not just the one time you stand outside the store, but throughout all time, every day, for the full history, and for every location. And for every mall, if you want to invest in a mall, or for every retailer, if you want to invest in a retailer. And that's valuable both for actual investors, who they would invest, let's say, I want to know how Walmart is doing, find out how many people go to Walmart. To real estate investors, I want to purchase this location. Are people coming here? Did they stop coming? Are they coming more? And to actual retailers, where are my customers coming from? Where should I advertise? I want to buy a billboard. Where are my customers living? Where should I put my advertisement on a billboard? And a lot of other insights. Are my customers cross-shopping somewhere else? Do I have synergies with other areas? If I want to open a new location, am I going to cannibalize my customers? I can see where my customers are going and where I have void that I can put in a new location. If I want to measure production in a factory, I can see how many employees go to the factory, and that measures the production, so on and so forth. There are so many use cases that we're still finding more after 10 years.
Yeah, amazing. And you mentioned over the past 10 years since founding the company, over the past decade, what sort of new trends or challenges have kind of shifted your landscape?
It's always understanding and managing the data and the data sources. It's a minefield, so you have to figure out what data is actually good data. It has the proper provisioning. It's explicitly allowed by the end user to be collected and aggregated. It's accurate. It's not fake data, and understanding how to aggregate it. Make it more accurate, normalize it, and it's a changing landscape. All those things change every few years, so you constantly have to adapt.
For sure. And in recent years, a big emphasis in the space has been around privacy, data security. How has Advan Research kind of navigated those obstacles?
For us, it's generally easy because all we do is aggregated insights. There are a lot of companies in the location space and other alternative data areas that will provide you with specific information. Oliver was here. Oliver did this. Advertise to, maybe I won't have your name, but advertise to someone who lives there and has this and this and this demographics. We don't provide anything that is based on an individual, whether it's anonymized or otherwise. We only provide aggregated insights. So we'll tell you there were 100 people here. That's it. So the aggregation removes the vast majority of privacy issues. And then we also have to make sure that the data we collect is explicitly permissioned by the end user. The end user says, yes, I accept the collection of my data. You can collect my data all the time, and you can aggregate it and anonymize it downstream.
Mm-hmm.
So we have not, as a company, faced individual hurdles because we don't provide individual data. The whole industry has faced issues because a lot of companies did provide individual data, and a lot of companies also collect data without consent. For example, I'll show you an advertisement on a website, and lo and behold, I'll be able to get your IP address, which then I can geolocate, so I know approximately where you are. And all I did is I served you an advertisement. I never asked for your name. I never asked for any permissions. That's the kind of data that we actually don't want because it's just noisy data. It's not good for our use case. We cannot provide good analytics, so we actually try to avoid that data anyway for practical purposes. But if you saw the news, Grady Analytics was in the news where they got hacked, and a lot of that data came to light, which is not explicitly permissioned by the end users.
Mm-hmm. And so you mentioned that there's traffic coming from websites, there's foot traffic. This data is coming from all over the place. How do you combine it into a use case that is valuable to your customers?
So for the first few years of our work, we focused on cell phone location data because we think that it is, first of all, it was one of our biggest expertise, but also provides very broad use cases. You can measure a lot of things out in the marketplace. Recently, in the last year, we also decided to combine that with transaction data, actual credit and debit card transaction swipes, and because we think that is the most powerful data set to combine with the location data. So you can see an orthogonal view of how many people came to a location and how many of those actually made a purchase and how much money they spent. It provides a full picture of, I'm looking at this store, whether it's one store or all the stores of a location or all the stores in the zip code, all the stores in the country of a particular company. You can see visitors, conversion to transactions, conversion to actual customers, and how much money they're spending at the end of the day, which is what really matters. And that's an extremely powerful insight. If you manage to bring a lot of people in your store with advertisement or whatever, and nobody's buying anything, that's bad news for you. If you're converting the customers at the same ratio or better, and they're spending even more money, and basket size is higher, then it's very good news for you. So these are very powerful insights.
No doubt. And we have a similar approach within my own company. Is we're on the sales and marketing side. So when we generate leads, if we're sending email campaigns, people are responding, they're booking meetings, but they're not converting. It's not a good campaign.
Yes.
So when you showcase that data in such a competitive landscape, there's, like I said, there's data coming from all over the place. How do you show the value of your data, and how do you educate prospects of the importance of what you're showing them?
That is actually one of the biggest things that we have to do as an analytics provider. It's not just generating the analytics, but also showcasing them and educating the users. So the first step is to provide dashboards that make it easy to access the data. So I can search for a location, I can search for a company, and I can get all the insights. And there are a lot of insights because you can also marry that data with the demographics of the users that are coming in. So you can keep breaking down the data by many different steps. So providing very elaborate dashboards that can give the information to the user, and then obviously educating the user to use the dashboards. We are making as user-friendly as we can. If you can use Google Maps, you can use our dashboards. Very easy to use. But also you have to showcase, here's what you can do with that data. And that step is infinite. There's so many use cases. You can keep providing more and more. So we do our best. We try to educate the users. Here's some examples of what you can do, and provide use cases along the way.
Awesome. And recently, there's been a big shift, I'm sure you're aware of it, in AI and machine learning, especially in the big data and analytics space. How has Advan Research either embraced that? How have you guys started to utilize that? Or are you guys still feeling that out?
So we have been using AI since 2018 to provide forecasts of performance of companies because we have the data, we have the foot traffic data, we also have historical revenue data of the companies, and we use the two and feed it into machine learning. Say, okay, using now the foot traffic that we have, tell me how much the revenue is going to be. And that's been running. We're running it almost like a hedge fund would to try to effectively paper trade based on that information. And it's been running for the last 7 years now. More recently, we use AI to normalize data. So here we take the raw information and we try to aggregate it and normalize it to filter out noise. So AI is very powerful, but you have to guide it. You can't just throw the data in and tell me what the insights are, because a lot of what we do is manual tagging, which there are no really quick shortcuts to that. So we need to know, for example, that these are the four walls of this particular Walmart. How do you get that with just an address and lat long? It's very difficult to do accurately. Or you need to know that this particular Walmart opened at that date and closed at that date. So if traffic before and after is maybe construction or something else, but it's not really visitors to Walmart. So there are a lot of nuances that you cannot just throw it in an AI box and get it out. So we do all the manual tagging, all the manual steps, and where we can use AI, we do.
Awesome. And you shared you've been using it for 7 years now. If we flashed forward and had this conversation 7 years from now, it's 2032, which is crazy to say. How far do you think AI would have come at this point? What sort of predictions do you have?
My crystal ball is broken, but we're not going backwards. That's for sure. There will always be more and more use cases, and the AI landscape has been growing tremendously fast lately. It's mostly around the last few years. The advances we've seen have been mostly around large language models with ChatGPT, etc. So you have to take that and sort of translate it to work with numbers. Do you want to work with numbers or other types of data? But I'm sure we'll see more of it in the future. We'll not see less.
No doubt.
And as we see it, we'll constantly implementing it. As any software company, if you're not improving, you're standing still. You're sitting back. So you constantly have to add more functionality.
Yeah, no, I love it. And Yanni, you're the founder of Advan Research. Getting this company off the ground to where it is today, what sort of kind of challenges did you face? What sort of adversity did you face to kind of grow the business to this point?
Well, it's the same with every company where you go from 0 to 1. The first reaction is, I've never used that. I never had this. Why do I need it now? 90% of the people will tell you are not really the early adopters. So you have to find the adopters. You have to make 100 phone calls until you find the 10, which will be early adopters. And you're facing pushback even from areas where you should not. I remember back in 2016, I made a phone call to a hedge fund. How many customers do you have? Well, you're going to be the first customer that will use this so you can have an edge in the marketplace. Call me when you have 5 customers. Why would you not want to have the first mover's advantage in your trading? So that is the biggest challenge in getting off the ground. Of course, there is a lot of work to be done to generate the data, procure the data, process the data, analyze the data, figure out how to showcase it. But the hardest thing is always to convince somebody that it's useful.
Amazing. And moving forward, in such a competitive kind of big data space, what sort of strategies do you have to get Advan Research's name out there?
It's standard marketing, really. The marketing playbook is the same for all companies. I wish I could say we're experts in it. We're not, but it's getting your name out there, advertising, calling customers, all the steps that any company would do to advertise their products. just like any company in any other space.
Mm-hmm.
We
For
try to
sure.
do more of that as much as we can.
Yeah. And as we've scaled to this point, you're at a decade now. If you could look back and tell yourself on day one starting this company, what's the biggest advice you would give yourself?
And one of the biggest challenges we faced is running against companies that are spending more than what they're making. It's the VC funding model. I'll raise $100 million and I'll make $20 million of revenue,
Hmm.
and I'm a hero. Whereas we did everything organically, which is much, much more difficult.
Mm-hmm.
We can only spend what we have. So my advice to my earlier self is invest more on marketing, um, educate your customers more on use cases, and potentially consider raising capital early on, because the longer you go, the less sense it makes,
Mm-hmm.
and just grow as fast as you can.
Yeah. Awesome. And you mentioned there's a definite mindset shift between bootstrapping and fundraising. Somebody that's kind of on that edge, they're like they've built up to where they are, they want to keep bootstrapping. What would you say to them?
Well, the venture capital companies give you a 2 to 3 year horizon.
Mm.
So here's some money. You hit your metrics, we'll give you 2 years, 3 years maybe. If you don't hit your metrics, we'll pull the plug.
Mm.
So it makes sense to do that on day one. But if you have spent 5 years building a business and you have a real business, do you want to throw it down the drain in 2 years if something doesn't work?
Mm-hmm.
If you try it on day one, if it doesn't work, then you try something else, 2 or 3 years at a time. That's fine. But if you've built already a company, and this is the advice I'm getting from other founders too. Hey, you build a good company. Don't raise capital now. It's
Mm-hmm.
not a good thing to do. You can raise growth equity, but not venture capital.
Mm. Makes sense. And looking at the horizon now, we've talked about kind of your history, getting to this point, your experiences. Looking at the horizon, moving forward, we can even say just for 2025, what's on the horizon for Advan Research? What sort of goals do you guys have?
We are rolling out our transaction data set, which we're marrying with the foot traffic data. So we'll provide a full other dimension to all our clients. And we think it's basically a new company. Our company is having another company.
Mm.
It's a whole other direction that we have high hopes for. We think all the clients, all the existing clients we have, will want to have that. And we are the first company that is really putting its back behind combining these two data sets. So we are expecting a lot more take up. And we're also finishing the integration of our latest acquisition. We acquired Real Estate Intelligence, which has a very elaborate graphical interface, the most powerful interface in cell phone location data, with proven market data fit. And we have high hopes for that as well. We can deploy it to all of our other customers. We can get new customers based on that. And the future is bright.
Mm.
With high
It,
hopes for 25.
no, it sounds like the future's bright, and it sounds like you guys have high hopes, and it sounds like you guys are going to make them happen as well. But Yanni, that's all I got for you today. I really appreciate you taking the time to come on, share your knowledge, share your wisdom with the audience, and also a little bit about what you guys are building and where you guys are trying to go. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Oliver.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for the time. Bye-bye.
Yep.